Right. So, thank you so much for the interview.
No problem.
And so, what is your current position or title?
Well, I'm the AVID teacher here at West Orange.
And what is your other occupations did you consider before this?
I don't know really know. I mean, I a thousand different things to be honest with you. It's just really trying to find out what something I would enjoy doing every day and that I felt rewarding. And to be honest with you, kind of this was never really an option. It just kind of ended up happening and something I kind of fell in love with throughout my process of looking, I guess.
I think that's awesome. So, why did you choose this career?
Um, when I was in high school, I never really, I just kind of went to school and paid attention, and I guess everything came easy to me, so I never really had to try very hard in class. So when I got to college, I really struggled. I didn't know how to study. I didn't know how to take notes. I didn't know how to do any of those things. So after a couple of years of really struggling, I started kind of figuring out, and learning kind of became kind of fun for me. It was something that I started to figure out that, it wasn't just about getting through the class, but, realizing it was a daily thing, and man, it'd be kind of cool to be in this setting all the time. I'm like, well, I guess you could teach. And that's, I'd be part of it. So that's kind of how I got here.
That's awesome. And then, how did you occupy your time during a typical work week?
It's really kind of nonstop. I mean, when you're planning for the next lesson, and then on top of that, keeping up with all the paperwork you have to as far as attendance and different documentation for what you do with each student, things like that. So, a lot of returning emails, a lot of paperwork and things like that, and then obviously planning for a lesson, trying to find time in there to learn yourself. I'm always trying to learn something new. So, it stays pretty busy with a lot of little things.
And what skills or talents do you think are essential for this position?
I think really the most important thing is really being able to have a relationship with others, whether it be your students or coworkers or whatever. It's when you've got most of your students that don't really care to be here, don't care to learn, much like I was when I was in high school. I mean, I just wanted to get through it. I wasn't rude or causing problems, but I wasn't overly excited about it. So having that relationship with students where they trust you, I think is very, very important. So that's something that I constantly work on to try to, for the students to feel comfortable around me when they're learning.
So what do you think is the most rewarding about this career?
I think stemming from that, I think when you see a student get it, when things start to understand and they do see trust and they start to kind of grow as a person, not only learning the things in the class, but I think more importantly, seeing the big picture, starting to set goals for themselves, things like that. To me, that's when it kind of makes it worth it.
And then, so what is the least that you like about the job?
Probably a lot of the little silly paperwork things that you have to do. I mean, you got to have documentation for things, and the way things are now is that everybody wants to kind of keep up with things and what you're doing and assess it and things like that. And, I see the good in it, but at the same time, there's times where it's like, is this really that important? I just want to get down to what we really need to be doing. But nothing major, but just some of the little things that can be kind of tedious sometimes.
And then, what was your major in college?
My major was actually exercise science. So kind of getting back to some of the different things I wanted to do. I mean, I wanted to, I've always enjoyed sports and working out, things like that in the body, and so that was really kind of that was my major, my initial approach, and as it went on, I found new things that I enjoy to do within that. So.
And then, how long have you been a teacher?
This is my fourth year teaching.
What do you like most about your job?
Again, I think the relationships are a lot. Seeing the growth. I had great people in my life growing up, and I don't know if I realized that when I was younger, but looking back, man, there's a lot of people that shaped me, and to kind of be able to be a part of that for somebody else is pretty rewarding.
And then, so what educational degrees or licenses are required to be a teacher?
Well, for me, since I didn't have an education degree, I had to go through an alternative certification. So I was able to get a 3-year temporary certificate, which allows me to go ahead and start working, start teaching. But within that, now I had to take a few classes to basically for me to learn what all those other teachers learned when they were in college. There's a few different avenues you can go through that. There's a company that does it. There's, you take actual college classes, or I'm taking them right here with our accounting. So, it's taken a couple of years to kind of get through, but learned some good stuff. Learned a lot of little things that, I just didn't know because I didn't have those. So, nothing major, but, those little classes, taking a subject area test are a few of the requirements to become a real teacher.
Well, thank you so much.
No problem. You're welcome.